All right, back out here in the garage. See the Ram is behind me. We're gonna take the truck bed from this to this. We've got these guys. So this is, seen people use these on other videos. There's 4 LEDs per strip, and there's 2 strips in the package. One of them's over here on the test bench. All right, so here's the test bench. I know it looks kind of sketchy hooked up to the jump pack, but it's an easy way to get it 12 volts. Also, this thing's gonna beep. Just like that, it's fine. It's just telling me it's not connected to a battery. So this is a little demonstration, right? Got it all wired up roughly. When the tailgate is opened, boom, right? That's all I'm doing, moving this. There we go, we can kind of get them in the same frame. So just really quickly, you have your 2 wires from your lights, right? Your black and white is your negative, your regular black is your positive. So connect that up to your positive. I just have a 10-amp fuse right here. It shows this on the back of the switch. It doesn't have it on the connector, but it does have it here. So your positive and your negative, those are the LED, which I don't want on, so we're ignoring those. So you just have your 3 wires here, right? You have your common, which is your white. You have your normally open, which is your blue. And you have your normally closed, which is your brown, which is the one that we want. So you're gonna take your negative from your lights, right? The black and the white. Connect that up to the brown from your switch. And then you're gonna take your white from your button and connect it up to one of the wires on your magnetic switch, does not matter which one. And then you're gonna ground this one to the chassis, the other wire. So we have it on, right, we have this off, turn it on, right? Tailgate open, switches away, tailgate close, they turn off. Easy peasy. So now we just need to wire it all to the truck. So one of my first thoughts was, where am I gonna mount the button? I had initially planned on mounting it in here. You know, this is the cap where your OEM lights are supposed to go. I was just gonna drill a hole in this and put the button up there, but there's a hole right here beside the tie down. And if you take your button, it almost perfectly fits. And I'm willing to bet that if there wasn't bed liner in that hole, it would perfectly fit. So that is where we're gonna mount the button. All right, so we've got our button. Now we need to figure out where we're gonna put the lights. And if we measure from the very front to the back right here, it's like 61 inches and some change, which means roughly I'm doing like 20 1/4-ish is where the lights are gonna be. So we're gonna have one in the very front here, one at this mark, one at that mark, one at the back. So we're gonna go ahead and install these, right? The dead end, we're gonna put towards the front of the bed. The long section of wire is gonna go towards the rear of the bed. And then on the driver's side of the truck, the wire is just gonna drop down. Here on the passenger side, the wire is gonna drop down and then run along. We'll zip tie it up like behind the edge. But we need all the wires over here in this corner. So, all right, you can't see them, but they're up in there. That took way too long. Underneath the truck, there is a wiring loom. You can see it runs up through here, runs along in front of the spare. We're just gonna zip tie this wire up along the pre-existing loom to get it to the other side. So now we gotta worry about power. And there's a couple ways to do this. You can use a posi tap or a little splice tap into this guy right here. You can see it says positive, this is constant 12. However, up in the engine bay, in this fuse box, you have all these posts. All of these are constant 12. I don't want to wire it directly to the battery, but all of these are constant 12. We have our little inline fuse. You can see we got a ring terminal on it. So we're gonna run power from this post. I'm just gonna use this back post here. And then we're gonna run a wire all the way along the truck until we're back here in this corner. And I think I'm just gonna follow this wiring loom. It appears to go pretty far, if not all the way back. So we're just gonna zip tie our red wire to this, and then we'll have power to our lights.
2 hours later.
Okay, another embarrassingly long amount of time later. You can see all the little zip tie bits. We've got our red wire all the way to the back here. And so the last thing that we need to mount is our magnetic switch here. Got a piece of tape on this end And the unfortunate bit is, once we've got the tailgate closed, there's a huge gap between the metal of the tailgate and then the metal of the actual bed itself. So with my testing, it looks like we're gonna have to mount the individual magnet to this part of the latch, and then we can mount the actual switch part over here. We're gonna run the wires for the switch through this little gap here, and they'll end up on the ground with the rest of the wires. And so just like that, it's mounted. You can see it's running through the hole. The other piece is mounted onto the latch right there. And then once the tailgate is closed, they are extremely close together, so it's gonna work out perfect. And so now that we've got all of our individual wires, it's time to actually wire it up to the plug that goes on the back of the switch, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so we removed our switch temporarily just so we could test. So just to reiterate for the wiring, we have constant 12, which is the red, going to the solid black from the LEDs, right? So there's two here, one for each side. The negative for the LEDs, there should be two of them, goes to the brown wire, and then your white, that's your ground or your common, that goes to one end of the magnetic switch. The other end needs to be grounded. For now, I just have it tucked up into the exhaust, right? Because your exhaust has a ground on it. And then up here at the front, we've got our constant 12 going to one of the nuts. We have our little fuse in. This is kind of sketchy, this dangling here, but if we look over here in the bed, ta-da, we have our lights. Now we get to do the really fun part, which is soldering, but at least we know it works. So I'm stoked. Actually, for the full visual effect, we're gonna fold back down the cover just so we can really see up in there. Oh yeah, look at that. So what I like is, from eye level, which is about right here, there's a ton of light inside, but you can't see it unless you're way down here, and even then, you can't really see it. So A+. And boom, there is the finished product. It looks so good. We'll fold back this first layer here just so we can see it turning on and off. Look at that. Heck yeah. So don't make fun of me. I know this looks like shit, but I soldered all the wires on the ground, and this is just how much extra there is. Zip tied through a hole right here pretty nicely. And then for ground, I just use this guy for the heat shielding. It's a nice close bolt. It works perfectly fine. Yeah. So right here you can see the wire. The fuse is actually down here, and it just runs around. I might end up rerouting this because I don't really like how this looks, but for now, it works. And so this took way longer than I wanted it to, but I try not to half-ass anything. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna try to do it right. So if it takes me 3, 4, 5 hours, it takes me 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever. But end result is awesome. I absolutely love it. Also, do note really quickly, if you want your button to be opposite of mine, right? So I have the button out is on, and when you press it, it turns it off. If you want it the other way around, when it's pressed, it's on, and when it's out, it's off. Instead of connecting the negative from the LED to the brown, you just connect them to the blue, and it's the opposite. But see, it all works. It's all tied up. Can't really see any of the wires. You have to get super far down here. Like, your head would literally have to be on the bed for you to be able to see this. Sensor is literally not noticeable. It's ultra clean. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.